am Dr. Veerendra Kumar, Assistant Professor of Sociology, VSK University Ballari. Today I am going to take a lecture on Sociology of Aging. This is a very important and relevant subject in sociology because it is a global burning issues and one of the most important social problem, and the people of next generation, they are facing the problem of aging. So here I would like to give a meaning of aging, definition, and different dimensions of aging. First of all, we should know the meaning of aging. Aging is the process of becoming older. The term refers especially to human beings, animals, and many living creatures. In humans, aging represents the accumulation of changes in a human being over time, encompassing physical, psychological, and social changes. Aging is both a biological and sociological process wherein human beings experience and accomplish stages of biological and social maturation. Aging may be seen as a relatively objective biological process whereby one becomes older and experiences varied biological developments. Definition of aging. Aging has been defined in various ways by different scholars, and it is measured in many ways according to the academic background of the person who study them. Some have regarded aging as period of physiological deterioration. Others regard it as a simply the advancement of years, and still others have emphasized that aging involves a restriction on cultural roles. Theories of aging. To better understanding of aging, there are theories which explains why aging happens in the present scenario. Theories of aging, first of all, attempts to explain the phenomenon of aging as it occurs over the lifespan. Aging is viewed as a total process that begins at conception. Sensing a change in the behavior of an organism with age leading to a decreased power of survival and adjustment. Types of theories of aging. Broadly, scholars and thinkers, they divided theories of aging four main categories. First one, biological theories of aging. Second, sociological theories of aging. Third, psychological theories of aging. And fourth one, moral and spiritual aging. Now we look at biological theories, what it says. Biological theories concerned with answering basic questions regarding the physiological processes that occur in all living organisms as they chronologically age. Foci of biological theories. Biological theories explains that deleterious effects leading to decreasing function of the organism. Secondly, biological theory also says there is a gradually occurring age-related changes that are progressive over time. Third, intrinsic changes that can affect all member of a species because of chronologic age. Then we will see sociological theories of aging. In sociological theories, there are three main perspectives. First one, structural functional theory. Second, symbolic interactionism. Third one, labeling theories. Now we look at symbolic structural functional theory. Structural functional theory proposes that social structure meet social needs and these structures promote social stability and cohesion that necessary for society to exist over time. Structural functional theory views society as a complex system. It has four main different theories. First one, role theory. Second, disengagement theory. Third, activity or developmental task theory. Fourth, continuity theory. Now we look at the first one, role theory. Before that, we should know why sociological perspectives are different from the 1960s up to today. The changing focus of sociological considerations of aging during the 1960s, its focus on losses and adaptation to them. During the 1970s, broader global societal and structural factors influencing the life of old ages. But during the 1980s and 1990s, exploration of interrelationships between old ages and their physical, political, environmental, and socio-economic milieu. Now, what role theory says? Role theory says on aging that it is based on the belief that roles define us and our self concept and shape our behavior. Secondly, disengagement theory. Disengagement theory, it is propounded by Cumming and Henry in 1961. This theory developed by Cummings and Henry in the later 1950s. This proposes that people grow older and realize death is near. They begin in disengage from their previously held social roles in society. In return, society recognizes the inevitable and prepares to function in the absence of that individual. According to this theory, it says that aging seen as a developmental task in and of itself, with its own norms and appropriate patterns of behavior. Appropriate behavior patterns involved a mutual agreement between old ages and society on a reciprocal withdrawal. Next theory, activity theory. It is also called as developmental task theory. This theory was founded by Hevigerst, Nagratin, Tobin in 1963. It claims that, this theory claims that staying mentally and physically active will increase happiness among older adults. They argued that instead of an elderly person disengaging from their community, they should remain active and social. These active lifestyles allow aging populations to socialize with others, which increases feelings of self worth and pleasure that are both important for life longevity. The activity theory basically says it is necessary to maintain a person's life satisfaction and a positive self concept, based on the hypothesis that active older people are more satisfied and better adjusted than those who are not active. An older person's self concept is validated through participation in roles characteristics of middle age, and older people should therefore replace lost roles with new ones to maintain their place in society. Theory based on assumptions that it is better to be active than inactive. That means aged people should be active than inactive. The second assumption that it is better to be happy than unhappy. An older individual is the best judge of his or her own success in achieving the first two assumptions, based on the hypothesis that central personality characteristics become more pronounced with age or are retained through life with little change. People age successfully if they maintain their preferred roles and adaptation techniques throughout life. How a person has been throughout life is how that person will continue throughout the remainder of life. Old age is not a separate phase of life, but rather a continuation and thus an integral component. And second sociological theory is symbolic interaction theory. Symbolic interactionism, this perspective based on the argument that the interactions of such factors as the environment, individuals, and encounters can significantly affect one's behavior and thoughts, including aging process. Symbolic interactionist perspective focuses on how elders' identities are created through their interactions. Symbolic interactionists stresses that attitude towards the elderly are rooted in society. This perspective assumes that if people develop a sense of identity through their social interactions, their sense of self is dependent on those interactions. For example, a woman whose main interactions with the society makes her feel old and unattractive may lose her sense of self. But a woman whose interactions make her feel valued and important will have a stranger sense of self, will have a stronger sense of self and a happier life. There are three theories in symbolic interactionism. First one, subculture of aging theory. Subculture of aging theory. This theory developed by Rose in 1962. According to Rose, when elderly people excluded due to age, voluntarily or involuntarily from the rest of the groups, They created shared communities. This theory suggests that when elders will disengage from society and develop new patterns of interaction with the peers who shares common backgrounds and common interests. For example, a group of consciousness may develop within such groups during later period and may gradually concentrate on certain issues. For materializing these issues, they may focus on creating social and political pressure groups. Hence, these excluded elders may find a strong sense of community with their new groups. So accordingly, the subcultural theory of aging it says that it is based on the belief that people maintain their self-concepts and self-identities through their membership in a defined group that we call as subculture. Next, second symbolic theory on aging is labeling theory. Labeling theory, its perspective derived from symbolic interactionism premised on the belief that people derive their self-concepts from interacting with others in their social milieu, in how others define us and react to us. Next symbolic interaction theory is age stratification theory. Age stratification theory it was founded by Rayleigh in 1985. Accordingly, society consists of groups of cohorts that age collectively. The people and roles in these cohorts change and influence each other as does society at large. Thus, there is a high degree of interdependence between older adults and society. Age stratification theory. This theoretical perspective based on the belief that societal age structure affects roles, self-concept, and life satisfaction. Next one, social exchange theory. Based on the hypothesis that personal status is defined by the balance between people's contributions to society and the costs of supporting them. For example, during the youth, how much they contributed to the society, and even during the time of old age, and during the time of old age, what is the costs of supporting them. So the sum of that, the the balance between the contribution and costs, it is nothing but social exchange theory. That means the elders' contribution to the society and how much they taken from the society, it is called as social exchange theory. Next theory, political economy of aging. A theory based on the hypothesis that social class determines a person's access to resources, that dominant groups within the society try to sustain their own interests by perpetuating class inequalities. For example, in modern society, we can see that there is always a clash in between the youth generation and older generation because of to acquiring political power and economic uh, status. Life course. Life course perspective says that multidisciplinary view of human development that focuses on changes with age and life experiences. Life course capital. life course capital, which says that it is the expansion of life course perspective that addresses impact of differential acquisition of resources among different members of a cohort. Developments in social gerontology theory, the second transformation. Here, the theory is social phenomenology or social constructionism. This theory on aging, which explains that in studying social life, that places an emphasis on the assumptions and meanings of experience rather than the objective facts, with the focus on understanding rather than explaining. Critical theory. Critical theory of aging. This perspective that genuine knowledge is based on involvement of the objects of study in its definition and results in a positive vision of how things might be better rather than an understanding how things are. Feminist perspective. The view that the experience of women are often ignored in understanding the human condition together with efforts to attend critically to those experiences. Today in modern society, feminism always defending that and always says that our contribution to the society always neglected by the patriarchy society. So our service, our contribution is to be considered whenever the discussion takes place regarding societal development. Next theory, person environment fit theory. This theory propounded by Lawton in 1982. Accordingly, it says that individuals have personal competencies that assist in dealing with the environment. That means ego strength, level of motor skills, individual biological health, cognitive and sensory perceptual capacities. This theory also says as a person ages, there may be changes in competencies, and these changes alter the ability to interrelate with the environment. Significant implications in a society that is characterized by constantly changing technology. Next, third one is psychological theories of aging. Here, we should briefly explain certain theories. First one, Maslow's theory, Jung's theory, Erickson's theory, Robert Peck's theory, and optimization theory. We look at first one, Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. Maslow, he belongs to USA. He wrote a paper on a theory of human motivation in 1943. Abraham Maslow's, he was well known for the theory of hierarchy of basic needs. According to Abraham Maslow, there are 7 essential human needs. First one, physiological needs. Second, safety and stability needs. Third, love and attachments needs. Fourth, truth needs. Fifth, self-esteem or power needs. Sixth, alignment needs. Seventh, connection needs. The first one is physiological needs. According to Maslow, every individual basically these things required for his survival. For example, for survival, we need food, water, air, sex. Secondly, safety and stability needs. The needs for safe and stable environments. For example, house and family. Third one, love and attachment needs. The needs for unconditional love, support, and belonging. The need for attachment to a family, group, and society. Fourth one, truth needs. Truth needs means need to know and understand the world. According to Maslow, the fifth one is self-esteem or power needs. That includes the need to feel good about oneself, to feel powerful and efficacious in the world. Sixth need is alignment need. The need to be in alignment with your highest self. The need to express who you truly are. The need to actualize your inner self and potential. Seventh one, connection needs. This is the last need and also very important one. The need to make a strong and pure connection with your highest self. So there are seven basic human needs which explained by Abraham Maslow. These basic needs he tried to explain to us by making human motivation model. He made a model wherein the lowest part is psychological needs, next upper part is safety needs, next upper part is love and belongingness needs, and next fourth stage is esteem, and top portion of the pyramid he mentioned as self-actualization. Now we look at what Maslow said. According to Maslow, each individual has an innate internal hierarchy of needs that motivates all human behaviors. He depicted as a pyramid. The ideal is to achieve self-actualization, having met all the lower level needs successful. Maslow's fully developed self-actualized person displays high levels of all the following characteristics. Maslow says that those people who are in old age, who self-actualized themselves, they should have certain characteristics. First one, perception of reality, acceptance of self, others, and nature, spontaneity, problem-solving ability, self-direction, detachment, and the desire for primacy, freshness of peak experiences, identification with other human beings, satisfying and changing relationships with other people, a democratic character structure, creativity, and a sense of values. According to Maslow, in this world, of the population, only about 1% of us are truly ideal, self actualized persons. Next, we look at Jung's theory of individualism. Carl Jung also called as Carl Gustav Jung. He was a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst who founded analytical psychology. According to Carl Jung, individuation is the development of consciousness. It is the process by which unformed person develops into a unique individual. In Jung's conception, the self-realized individual's very existence presupposes a positive relationship with the collective. Accordingly, individualism is the moral stance, political philosophy, ideology, or social outlook that emphasizes the moral worth of the individual. Individualism makes the individual its focus and so starts with the fundamental premise that the human individual is of primary importance in the struggle for liberation. Here, Jung, Jung's theory of individualism focuses on self-realization is the goal of personality development. As individual ages, each is capable of transforming into a more spiritual being. The next theory we call as Erickson's 8 stages of life. Erickson was a German American developmental psychologist and psychoanalyst. He is best known for his theory on psychological development of human beings. He was also called as a stage theorist. According to Erickson, his psychological stages of development focus on the resolution of the different crises to become a successful, complete person. He has given there are 8 stages of life. It is also called as 8 stages of psychological development of human being. They are as follows. First one, trust versus mistrust. Second, autonomy versus shame or doubt. Third, initiative versus guilt. Fourth, industry versus inferiority. Fifth, identity versus role confusion. Sixth, intimacy versus isolation. Seventh, generativity versus stagnation. Eighth, integrity versus despair. In each stages, he said that every human being passing through all these 8 stages of psychological development. The first stage, he says that trust and mistrust. This stage starts from immediately after the birth up to 12 months. Second stage, autonomy and shame. Autonomy versus shame or doubt. It starts from year 1 to 3 years. Third stage, initiative versus guilt, year 3 to 6. Fourth stage, industry versus inferiority, that starts from 6 year to 12 years. Identity versus role confusion, it starts from 12 years to 18 years. Intimacy versus isolation, that stage starts from 20 to 40. And generativity versus stagnation, that stage starts from 40 to 60. And stage 8, integrity versus despair, that starts from mid 60 years to end of our life. So here He said that stages throughout the life course each represents a crisis to be resolved. Age 40 to 65, that is we call as middle adulthood, generativity versus self-absorption or stagnation. 65 year to until death, that we stage we call as older adulthood. Here, integrity versus despair. According to Erikson, self-absorbed adults will be preoccupied with their personal well-being and material gains. Preoccupation with the self leads to stagnation of life. He further said that unsuccessful resolution of the last crisis may result in a sense of despair in which individuals view life as a series of misfortunes, disappointments, and failures. Next, we look at the theory of Peck's expansion of Erikson's theory. Peck, we also called as Robert Peck. Erikson's last two stages are expanded to seven. The final three of the developmental tasks for old age: ego differentiation versus work role preoccupation. So here, Robert Peck, he, he divided the Erikson's seven stages of human growth into four main divisions. The first two division he called as it is applicable to youth stage, and last four he included them in the old age. But in his theory, Robert Peck, he has given three categories under the old age group. Three categories under the old age group. The first one is ego differentiation versus work role preoccupation. Second, body transcendence versus body preoccupation. And third, ego transcendence versus ego preoccupation. Next, we will see selective optimization with the compensation theory. This theory, propounded by Baltes and Baltes in 1987. This symbolic interaction theory developed by them, according to them, this theory says that our energy diminishes as we age and we select personal goals to get the most. For fulfilling this goal, we do effort by putting to activities. This is called compensation. We compensating our life in this way by systematizing our goals and activities. According to this theory, in this theory, Baltes and Baltes says that those who have undergone physical disengagement theory, they need not think negatively. It allows them to save their energy for the most meaningful activities. For example, a professor who values teaching sociology may participate in a phased retirement and never entirely giving up teaching. Professor may take classes as his physique permits him. So this theory summarizes that individuals develop strategies to manage losses of function that occur over time. This theory having three interacting elements. First one, selection. Second, optimization. Third, compensation. Selection, that means increasing restriction of one's life to fewer domains of functioning. Optimization, people engage in behaviors to enrich their lives. Compensation, developing suitable alternative adaptations. So these three elements are given by Baltes and Baltes in their theory of selective optimization with the compensation theory. So by this, I conclude that all these four main theories of aging, which helps us to understand the major issues, challenges, and problems of aging. Thank you.